What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to Sole Vice. Thanks for joining me once again. I hope you're all doing well out there. Today we're taking a look at the Air Jordan 1 High 85 in the neutral gray colorway. Man, I gotta say it feels great to be back here with you guys. I unfortunately have not been able to post a video for quite some time, and that wasn't due to my choosing, but maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but the weather here pretty much everywhere in this country other than here in California seems to be absolutely crazy. Freezing cold, ice, snow, low temperatures that most places in this country don't see are happening right now. And that caused the Memphis FedEx hub to shut down for quite some time, and they're barely just getting back up to speed. And unfortunately, anytime I order anything from Nike or pretty much anywhere else, my package ends up going through that hub. So I literally just got the Super Bowl 12s, I think 2 days ago. I probably won't even end up reviewing those at this point because it's so long ago, and honestly, I wasn't that crazy about those anyway, but I got these on the same day. My Carmines literally just came in today. I think my Cool Gray 3s just shipped today, so everything's been really backed up. So I'm really glad to be back here on the YouTube channel. However, I do want to point you guys over to my Instagram because while I wasn't as active here on YouTube, I did really kind of kick things in a high gear over on Instagram. I paid some long needed attention to my Instagram, so definitely go follow me over there. I'm really, focusing on the quality there, the quantity as well. So I think you guys are really gonna enjoy that Instagram page. All right, guys, you already know how we do things around here. I'm gonna be giving you an in-depth review on these. I'm gonna let you know exactly what I think about them. I'll let you know about every single detail I think you need to know about in order to decide whether or not this is a shoe you wanna cop for yourself. And as always, you're gonna be getting buttery smooth 4K on-feet footage and B-roll to go along with that. And this time around, the Jordan 1 High 85 Varsity Red, or Reverse Bred, might just be making a cameo appearance. I'll do some comparison between those and these to let you guys know what's changed since last year. And by the way, if you end up liking this video, do me a huge favor, like the video. Also make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. That way you're notified every single time I post a new video, just like this one. I do try to get a new video out to you guys every single week. Of course, unless there's blizzards and snowstorms that stop FedEx, UPS, and USPS. But other than that, pretty much look forward to every single week you're going to be getting a new review or some type of other content here on the YouTube channel. Now, anytime the packaging is different than what we're used to or it's unique, I'm going to let you know about it. So with this release, we get this flipped Air Jordan 1 box. Now, this is the same box that we got last time around with the Air Jordan 1 High 85 Varsity Reds or Reverse Breds, whatever you want to call them. And in my opinion, this is really the only detail that I think is a little bit off with the Air Jordan 1 High 85, because the entire point of the 85 releases is they want to take them back to 1985, get them as close to the OG releases as possible with the shape, materials, everything you can think of really. They're trying to get it as close to the original pairs, except the box. They flip it from what it used to be with a predominantly black box with the red Nike logo. Now this box started with the Fearless releases with the Air Jordan 1s. There were some mids that came out, the first pair of Air Jordan 1 High Zooms that were available, that kind of like reflective pair. And for whatever reason, they kept it going with the 85 releases. I'm not too sure why. I'm honestly not a huge fan of it. I wish we got a normal Jordan 1 box, but that's neither here nor there. This is what we have. Now the differences don't actually stop with the box itself, but once we open it up, we've got this kind of waxy, glossy, translucent paper with some red Jumpman logos as well as some Wings logos and some 23s just kind of like all over printed on the paper. I actually like the paper. There's nothing wrong with the paper, but again, it's not an OG detail, so I do think it's just a little bit off. Now, while we're looking at the box here, I'm actually gonna go ahead and start taking advantage of the new YouTube Shorts feature. So I'll be doing a 60-second unboxing video with every release that I review pretty much. So keep an eye out for those. I've already posted the unboxing for this pair as well, so you can really kind of get up close and personal with the packaging. Now, on to the main event, the Air Jordan 1 High 85 in the neutral gray colorway or natural gray colorway. When these first came out back in 1985, they were known as the natural grays. Not too sure why they call them neutral gray now. I think the gray is slightly different. From what I can tell from pictures though, the gray isn't really that off. I think it might've just been a tad bit darker back in 1985, but I actually like the gray that they went with on these. I don't think it looks bad at all. I'm just super stoked to get another OG colorway in the Air Jordan 1, and this OG colorway has not come out again since they originally released back in 1985, so it was only right that they did it with the 85 cut. And I gotta tell you guys, it's a way better shoe than the Air Jordan 1 High OG. The shape, the materials, really everything about them, in my opinion, is much better. So let's go ahead and get into the details. So first of all, you get this OG hang tag that came with the Air Jordan 1 back in 1985. You've got this iconic photo of Michael Jordan over the Chicago skyline. And I really just think this is like the perfect kind of like cherry on top. It really just kind of gives it that throwback feel. Not that I was even alive back in 1985, but there's just something about it when you see it. You know that this harkens back to kind of the days of yore, if you will. And you also get a spare pair of laces with these. They give you neutral gray laces. I think I might actually end up going with the neutral gray. We'll kind of see. I like the white, but since the white doesn't exactly match with the white on the leather itself, I feel like maybe the gray might be a better option. Maybe I'll update you guys later on, but I don't think the white pair looks bad either. Now the upper on these is very similar to what we're used to with Air Jordan 1s as far as materials go, in that they are a leather shoe, so pretty much the entire upper is made up of leather. However, with the neutral gray colorway now and back in 1985 does have some suede also. So the neutral gray swoosh and collar up here at the ankle, those are both done in a suede, and I really like the suede that they went with here. It's got a really nice texture to it. You can kind of see like the nappiness to it, and it gives it just like a really nice extra kind of layer of depth that I really like. And everything on this shoe is really high quality. So a lot of people are gonna say that the leather is trash. That's just really up to perception. A lot of people like the softer, kind of more tumbled look of the leather that we get with a lot of Air Jordan 1 High OG releases. However, this is a higher quality leather. This is full grain leather. The leather that we get on a lot of other Air Jordan 1s that we kind of think of as the like shattered backboard, that is not full grain leather. There's actually a pretty cool video that you can find on YouTube of a guy who really just works with leather all day. That's what he does. He actually cuts the shoe in half and then talks a little bit about the leather, but this is actually a full grain leather. So when you're talking kind of like objectively about the quality of leather, these are better, but some people might just like the softer leather, and that's totally okay. Now that brings me to this guy here. So this is the Air Jordan 1 High 85 in the Varsity red colorway. And honestly, it's very similar to the neutral grays that we just got here. And I will say, after I wore these quite a bit, they did break in a little bit. I'll get into that a little bit later as far as like the things that did change. The leather itself, it's holding up really well. There's really like hardly any like creasing or anything like that. It's still very solid and sturdy. It's not quite as stiff as when I first got them. When I first got them, they felt a lot like these, but after I've done some real walking in them, the leather has kind of softened up a bit. Now there are some differences actually between these and the Varsity Reds. Really the only differences that I could discern is actually the ankle collar. They actually went with a different liner. This is kind of like more of that rougher type collar that we're used to with some other Air Jordan 1s. And this is kind of like that softer, tighter knit. And then the other thing I did notice was the stamp on the inside. On the Varsity Red, it's almost like it's like painted on. It doesn't even really seem like a screen print, or if it is, it's kind of like a very light screen printing. Whereas with the neutral gray, the tag is kind of almost like a plastic, I don't know, like a label that they heat pressed onto the collar. So I feel like it might actually last a little bit longer. But other than that, I think they're pretty much the same. The shape really seems very similar, if not identical. Materials, again, obviously the Varsity Red don't have the suede, but the leather itself, pretty much exactly the same. So if you have a pair of these, or if you've seen these before, they're pretty much the same as the neutral grays, so that way you kind of have a reference point. Now, one other thing about the upper here that I did want to point out just real quick is the tongue. I really like the tongue on these, not because it's really different than what we're used to. It's just your standard nylon tongue that we see on every other Air Jordan 1, but I like that it's got kind of like a blue tint to it. I don't know if they did that on purpose or if it's just hard to get a true white with that nylon material, but it is not a true white. It's got this kind of really like soft blue. I just think it gives the shoe a little bit more character, so I thought I'd point that out. Now moving down to the midsole, this is another OG detail that they brought back from 1985. You'll see the pattern here on the midsole is a lot more aggressive and pronounced than what we're used to with typical Air Jordan 1 High OGs. It's done in white to match the leather upper. And then moving down to the outsole, as you can see here, it is done in neutral gray. Mine are a little bit dirty. I did some on-feet footage, so I already und'd these. The outsoles are pretty much the same as Air Jordan 1 High OGs. Textures are slightly different, but overall it's pretty much the same. So if you've seen one Air Jordan 1 outsole, you've pretty much seen them all. Now, another thing that you are gonna see with Air Jordan 1 High 85 releases is this different tag here on the insole. Another thing really just to bring it back to 1985. The insole itself is a polyurethane insole. It's not that really shitty foam insole that we get on other Air Jordan 1 High OGs that really just like bottoms out pretty much instantly. You do have a Nike Air logo in the neutral gray, but it is covered by the other labels here, so there's really not a whole lot that you can see there. And as you can see down inside the shoe is board lasted, the same thing that they did with the other 85 pairs. They did this back in 1985 when this was actually a performance shoe to give it some extra rigidity. They didn't have the fancy carbon fiber plates that they have now and other materials used for springboards and extra rigidity, so that's how they did it. So let's talk about the last big difference between these and your typical Air Jordan 1 High OG, and that is sizing. So if you haven't seen my review already for the Varsity Reds that I did last year, make sure to check it out up here. But you'll see in the sizing section there, I complained about how narrow the shoe was, and these are no different. I actually sized up a half size, and again, I was able to get these for like $100 less than my usual true to size 12, so I wasn't actually that mad about it, but I think that's the right way to go. They might be a tad too roomy in my opinion, but normal Air Jordan 1 High OGs always have a little bit of extra room anyway, so these actually fit really similar to what I'm used to with Air Jordan 1s. Now the Varsity Reds, after wearing them for quite some time and putting a lot of miles on them, they did seem to break in a little bit, and they're nowhere near as uncomfortable as they were when I first got them. It was actually like pretty painful to wear those when I first got them, but now they're not so bad. So hopefully with these, I won't have to worry about a break-in period. I can just wear them comfortably. Hopefully they don't break in too much and then become too loose. I really am not too worried about that though. So I would recommend, if you get a chance, go up half a size on these from what you typically do with Air Jordan 1 High OGs, because I think it's gonna be a little bit more comfortable for you. Now the one place that I do think that the High OGs have these beat is comfort. The Air Jordan 1 High OG, because there's usually a lot softer leather, because there's typically a little bit extra room, I do think that that's a much more comfortable shoe. In my opinion, that's one of the most comfortable Air Jordans to wear. I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with me, but I do actually like wearing Air Jordan 1s usually. Now these are more comfortable than my Varsity Reds because, as I just mentioned, I got the right size, but there's no doubt that the leather here being more stiff definitely makes it a little bit less comfortable shoe. However, you do have the polyurethane insole, which does make a difference, but I still think even with that considered, the High OG is gonna be a more comfortable shoe for you. Now, what would an Air Jordan release be if we didn't talk about factory flaws? Unfortunately, these are not perfect. They're not terrible, but I do have one pretty big gripe. On the left shoe here, the wing logo up here on the ankle, the paint is actually off center from the embossing or debossing, I should say. So the paint doesn't exactly match up with the logo. So that really kind of gets under my skin. I don't know, most people probably wouldn't notice it, but I notice it ever so slightly, so that's gonna bother me. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot of glue stains or anything. The stitching on these is great. That's another thing about 85s is they really go out of their way to make sure the stitching is like top notch. It's not sloppy at all. It always looks good. And that's the same on this pair as well. All right, so if I had to give these a rating from 1 to 10, I'm gonna give these a 10 out of 10. The colorway is incredible. It's an OG colorway, 85 cut. I really do not have any major complaints about this shoe. In my opinion, this is a must-have if you're a fan of Air Jordan 1s, and especially if you're a fan of Jordans in OG colorways. I just really think you can't miss out on this pair. If you've got some extra pairs laying around that maybe you don't wear a whole lot, I would sell those off, buy these before the prices go up. As sneakers go, we all know they could shoot up in an instant just because somebody famous wears them or whatever. But the case is right now they're right around $400 or $500, and I don't think that that's terrible. It's more than I would ever want to pay, but again, this is a must-have in my opinion. All right, guys, I will catch you guys in the next video. Again, make sure to follow me on Instagram, check out the unboxing video, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.